Breaker Crunchers! It's Friday night in Phoenix, Arizona. We are the Couch Crunchers. With me, as always, are my good friends Max and Sam. Say hi, guys.
Howdy, dude. That is
Max kept trying to pop in a little bit early, and I kept stopping him.
My bad.
It was like ping pong. You guys were battling for control.
I know. I'm like, stop. Oh man. Yes, so we are the Couch Crunchers. Tonight we are talking about the newest Warner Brothers movie, Mortal Kombat, which Max and I saw in theaters. Sam, how did you consume this movie? Was it HBO Max or theaters?
I went to HBO Lance, and I climbed into Max's brother's account because sometimes I just like to mess with him like that.
That's hilarious.
I watched the movie on
HBO Lance.
I saw that he had already started
Max,
it,
but just one better.
I saw that he had already started it, so I was like, he's gonna love this.
Yes. So now that we've just admitted to breaking HBO Max's what would you call it? Rules. Terms of service. Thank you. Please don't shut us down, YouTube. Yeah. So, but before we do that, because I watched a couple things this week. Max, apparently, he told me earlier he was just watching grass grow for the most part.
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
Max?
pretty much. All week I've been watching grass grow.
Sam,
really?
are you watching?
Did you get some sod?
No, I'll tell you what I was actually watching without getting too deep into it. I've just been enjoying politics, so literally all I've watched is political commentary for the last 2 weeks. So
really?
There's really nothing for me to I'm not sharing about all of that on here. Yeah, I will say though, I will say
yourself, bigot.
People are ridiculous.
Well, that too, but yeah, but I have been playing some Far Cry 5, and that's been pretty fun.
Wait, fart cry?
Sure. No, it's Far Cry 5.
That's what I did this morning. I took one that made me sob like a baby.
Well, I do want to tell you guys something. Lance already knows
cheeks be slapping pretty hard
because the story involves Lance. But my wife and I decided today,
dude, I told you to keep that stuff in the bedroom.
So my wife and I decided today that we wanted to go out to lunch on my lunch break, and we're like, let's go to Red Robin. And then I pull up to Red Robin, and Kelsey says, "That's a Couch Cruncher sticker on the Suburban next to us." And I'm like, "Yep, that's Lance's car." And lo and behold, I walk in, and Lance is sitting there. And here's what was great. So I walk up, and I called Lance actually from the parking lot. I said, "Hey, are you at Red Robin?" "Yeah, I am." And turns out you were at the end of your meal.
It's like he parked right next to me. Didn't he notice the Couch Cruncher sticker?
I knew it was you.
Yeah, who else is that going to be?
My car.
No, I knew 100% it was your car, but I wasn't sure if you were at the Cafe Rio or somewhere else.
Yeah.
I thought more than likely you were at Red Robin. But...
Which incidentally, we almost went to Cafe Rio instead of Red Robin.
Yeah, they're right next to each other there. But anyway, so then I walk in and I put my name down because Lance had indicated that they were at the end of their meal. And so I was like, okay, well, I guess we won't sit with his family. Well, we then go to say hi to him after they tell us it's a 20-minute wait. And the waiter just comes up and he says, "Oh, are you guys eating with them?" And Lance says, yeah. And so we got to sit nice and early because of that.
And then we left probably when you guys were halfway through your meal.
Yeah.
So
at the end of the day, it probably actually worked out better for them. They didn't have to clean a table for us. We were simultaneous customers. So,
by the way, if any other restaurants ever hear this, Red Robin has the best checkout system out of any restaurant ever.
Chili's uses the same one. I love it.
Who?
Chili's uses it, and so does Olive Garden at this point.
Yeah, it is perfect because there's no they split our check for us. In the machine, the waiter didn't have to go through any headaches. You can tip right there, literally checking out. They don't. Are you ready for the check? Are you ready? None of that, right? You just grab
it when you want.
Put your card in, and call it a day. Unless you have cash, but who carries cash around these days? Red Robin is legit, and the best sweet potato fries I've ever had anywhere.
Yeah, they're all right.
Well. So now that we've heard about Max's lunch date with me, Sam, what have you been watching?
Oh, okay. So I've watched a couple things this week, that were pretty good. I'll go with the less interesting one. There's a new series on Netflix called let's see, Shadow and Bone.
Yep, that's what I was going to talk about.
Fantasy series, very good. I really enjoyed it.
It feels very much like his Dark Materials.
I haven't seen that, but I'll take your word for it. And
Well, go watch it on HBO Lance.
Yeah, I'll take you up on that. But it's kind of like a steampunk fantasy type thing, and there's a lot of familiar faces, a lot of new faces, and this kind of like, you know, mystical, magical element to it. But it also feels very, very local, very, I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but like large scale, but also small scale.
Yeah, it seems to happen within like a very small radius, like a
small geographic area.
Thank you. But they have to go through such great lengths to get from one part to the other that it feels much longer, but really it's like they're only traveling like 5 miles.
Yeah, you know what it really reminded me of is the Berlin Wall.
Yeah, but with a mystical element. It's very good. Max, I think I told you today you should watch that show.
Yeah, you did. I've heard good things.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It's a little bit more, I don't want to say risque because that makes it sound like a porno, but it's definitely more adult than his Dark Materials. His Dark Materials, like I think like an older child could watch his Dark Materials. I wouldn't let my children watch this show.
I mean, given the offerings that Netflix usually puts up, I would say this actually is pretty tame by comparison. That's true. There was like a steamy bedroom scene between two dudes, and that was about the extent of it. Like you see a dude climbing off another dude at the end of their romp, and otherwise there wasn't really a lot of sexual stuff. There wasn't really. Yeah. There was like
every episode said there was nudity before it. Like if you look at the ratings, but I never saw
any.
They
have to put if there's any nudity in the series, they have to put it on every episode. And there was one scene where you see a girl's behind through like a sheer curtain. Yeah. That's the extent of the nudity there was in the show.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, it's not something for kids for sure. It's definitely late teenagers, you know, college, probably the target audience. But, you know, if you're a kid at heart, you can probably still enjoy it.
I don't like that policy for Netflix. It's weird. The whole, they put everything that's in the like content rating wise, they put everything on every episode. I much prefer the way HBO does
that.
Yeah, HBO shows it tells you before every episode, strong language, violence, whatever it is, they tell you what's in that episode.
I skip through all the episodes that don't say they have nudity.
Exactly. That's why I didn't want to watch Shadow and Bone. TV 14, no boobies, I'm out.
Yeah, but
it's very good, Max, and especially somebody like you that loves that fantasy. Because I'm not a huge fantasy person. I think you would really love it.
I should check it out.
Very original. It's
maybe I'll start it tonight.
From a book, right, Sam? It was a book.
Yeah, adapted from a series of books.
This isn't the Sherlock one, is it?
No,
that's the
regulars, and that one kind of took a dump. I didn't like the way that
I stopped watching after episode 5. I think
it took a real dump. So don't waste your time on the regulars. But Shadow and Bone
has the. Oh, go ahead.
I thought Shadow and Bone was really good. So if you're into fantasy, you know, with kind of a modern twist, this is very good.
So one of the main actors in the show is also from The Punisher, right?
I just noticed that Ben Barnes.
He's getting cast as this kind of an interesting character in a lot of things these days. I don't want to spoil too much, but he's got a bit of a duality about him. And
he's a Netflix actor at this point. And I've noticed the Netflix recast the same people a lot.
The thing about his character, I used to write a series of books, and one of the ideas I had for one of my characters, they use on Ben Barnes. And so as soon as they started talking about one of the elements in the story, I picked it out right away exactly what the twist was going to be with him, and I was like, dude, that's actually a really good application of that particular element. So I really enjoyed it. I wasn't like disappointed that I called that. I was actually really satisfied that I called that, because it would, if you weren't familiar with that type of thing, you probably didn't see it coming. But because I have used that very same element in one of my stories, I was like, yeah, okay, that I know where this is going.
Yeah, it's very
it's
good.
a new show, came out just a week ago. So
yeah, my wife and I already finished it.
Yeah.
All right. I also want to talk about this other movie that I saw on Netflix. I do watch
Josh versus Josh.
That was amazing. That wasn't on Netflix. That was on. You had to
Twitch.
go. You had to find crowdsourced materials. I found it best on Twitch. There was a guy on Twitch who had some high def. There was some guys on YouTube who had some very low def, and it was really hard to tell what was going on.
Yeah, I saw the Twitch of that, and all I got to see was the initial commentary before the fight, and it was fascinating. There was one guy who was talking about how Josh was the underdog, that he thought that Josh was going to be able to come out on top. But he was also talking about how Josh was really favored to win.
Yeah.
But that we just didn't think that Josh was going to be able to pull it out. We thought Josh was going to be able to pull it out.
You're right.
It was fascinating commentary.
Absolutely.
That's literally what they were talking about as I tuned in. I'm like, this is great. But I didn't.
No, you're right.
When we watch football, and I forget who it is, but we have Larry Fitzgerald, and then there's another Fitzgerald in the league and another Fitzgerald, and if those teams play each other, you're like, wait, who did what now? So
yeah, all the Fitzgeralds. But I do want to say that about the Josh fight is it was so fun, and I'm glad that I was able to tune in. I wish I had gone there in person. I wish I had the time to go there in person.
They had a strict only Josh rule.
No, they didn't. Like if you were fighting, you had to be a Josh. But if you were just there watching, they didn't care.
See, I think we should do this for all the Sam Richardsons and all.
There are a lot
Matt
of Sam
Petersons.
Richardsons. There's a lot of Sam
with
Richardsons.
The Lance Speronies, it'll just be me sitting out in the field.
Yeah, HBO Lance just sitting by himself. It's like, hey, I'll share my login with you.
You want a bite of my twisty cone?
But yeah, it was very fun. No, the other show I was watching again on Netflix it's a movie called Homunculus, and it was kind of weird. It was there were a lot of strange visuals. So what caught my attention is they had some really strange visuals right at the very beginning. At like the teaser, you know how Netflix will roll like a teaser while you're hovering over a title. The teaser was full of these really strange things. Like this guy, he gets a hole drilled right in the middle of his forehead, and then somehow it unlocks like psychic powers or something. And whenever he covers one of his eyes, he can see people's defects or their like their guilt or whatever personality trauma they're suffering through. He can see some manifestation of it, and then he as long as he keeps his eye covered, he can see it. And so he's trying to like figure it out. And so it starts out as this kind of like grotesque body horror type show, and it turns into kind of like a grief counseling, trauma counseling type show. But it ended a little weird for me. It didn't really satisfy me, the ending, but the first 3/4 of the movie were really fun to watch. And so if you're into kind of quirky, maybe a little bit horrific, it's not like super terrible horror, but it is a little bit of body horror. If you're into stuff
that
like
drives me
it's
nuts,
really
dude. Like Stephen King movies are the same way. It's like 3/4 good, and then they just can never.
They don't stick the landing. Yeah.
And it drives me insane because you get so invested. Like I felt like Dr. Sleep was very good. I enjoyed Dr. Sleep.
Sure.
But with it Chapter 2, the whole movie was garbage, and they just can't stick the ending. And then we watched this show on CBS, or what's it called now? Paramount. Paramount Plus or something, called The Stand. And we were invested until the last episode. And I said, what the hell just happened? Like, they just...
Is that the new one with Kat McNamara from Arrow? She had like pink hair or something.
I don't think so.
Brand new, The Stand.
No. Is she in this? No. I don't think so. No, the main person in The Stand is it's Whoopi Goldberg's in it.
It's an older version, right?
No, this just came out last year, 2020. Like the end of last year. James Marsden is in it. Amber Heard. Which I didn't even recognize that was Amber Heard when I was first seeing it. But like, it's great for, I think it's 9 episodes. It's great for 7 of those 9 episodes. And then you watch episodes 8 and 9. Episode 8 starts to go off the rails a little bit, and then episode 9 is just not satisfying. In the least.
Dude, she plays Julie Lowry. Kat McNamara. She was in Arrow. She played Oliver Queen's daughter from like the future.
Oh, those are the years that I was not watching.
Oh, okay.
That's probably why I didn't recognize her. So she is in this?
Yeah. And it is a 2021.
Yeah, Catherine McNamara.
It's 2021.
Quite honestly, I don't even remember her in The Stand.
Yeah.
Well, I remember Amber Heard.
Okay. Well, Homunculus. Homunculus, weird body horror movie. Also kind of touching a little bit, kind of sweet, a little tragic. But ultimately, if we were covering it on the show, I'd give it a 3 out of 5. But it's weird, it's new. I like things that are weird and new, that kind of jump out at you, surprise you with new things. I like to see new things.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, dude. There is one that I'm really excited to talk about.
Go on.
Mortal Kombat.
That's later, bro.
So we talked about Shadow and Bone, which that was great. I loved it. Max, you should watch it. But Handmaid's Tale returned, and that has to be one of my favorite shows ever. I don't know if you watched any of it, Sam.
I haven't seen it, no.
Dude, it is so good. Like, I was watching it before this episode, and I had no idea that it came out. Like, I thought it wasn't coming out till June, and there's already like 3 episodes already on Hulu. But that show is so good, dude. It took a lot of prodding from my wife to make me watch that show. And then as soon as I got like 3 episodes in, I was hooked. And we watched all, I think was 4 seasons up until this point. We watched it all in like a week. It's really good. But I don't need to go that deep into it because most people know what Handmaid's Tale is about. It's good. Go watch it. So let's talk about Mortal Kombat. Finish him. So Max watched like the first 6 or 7 minutes of this movie, and then says, "You know what? This is so gory and awesome. I want to see it in the theater." So he called me, and we went to the movie theater together.
And you were so glad you spent $20?
Yeah, I'm so glad.
Can I tell you something? We walked in there. Yeah, like buying the ticket was fine. I knew how much ticket prices were going to cost. What really pissed me off, and Harkins, if anybody from Harkins is listening to this, you just lost me as a customer because they took away free refills on your popcorn. You can no longer buy a large popcorn and get 1 free refill. And I'm wow. So for me, having kids, we used to buy 2 large popcorns or extra large popcorns. We dump them all in the boxes and then go get our refills so we can get popcorn for the rest of them, and they don't do that anymore. So they're charging you $9 for an extra large popcorn and not giving you a free refill. Meanwhile, AMC gives you unlimited refills. So I was pissed from the get-go.
Crappy popcorn, though. That's the difference.
It's not enough to make me go sit in those crappy seats.
Harkins seats are definitely not as good.
Yeah, I don't know.
So they already have crappy seats. They already charge you way too much for so you buy a cup for $5 and now it's $2 to refill that cup instead of the $1 it was before, right? Now you don't get free refills on popcorns. You don't. They have bad seats, and their prices are the same price as AMC.
They have a popcorn T-shirt.
You get your one
membership.
free. Yeah, you get your one free for every ticket that you buy. But here's the thing: if I buy 5 tickets on my account, I still only get 1 free popcorn voucher.
Yeah, that is a little annoying. But if you talk to customer service, they'll usually help you out. Because like Lance bought the tickets this time, but I have the popcorn voucher, and they won't let you use the voucher unless you bought a ticket on your account, which I think is stupid. So I had to go to customer service and say, hey, he bought the tickets, but because of COVID, I couldn't buy my own ticket and him buy his own ticket next to each other. And she's like, oh, yeah, you're right. Okay. So we were good.
Funny
I'm
because
not as mad as Lance. I'm good with it.
You and I bought 2 tickets, and they put 2 seats on both sides of us, right? You and I end up putting a seat in between us anyways.
Yeah, because it just wasn't that full. Well, and someone took our seat, and we just didn't care about fighting.
No,
so
I told you the wrong numbers. I told you the wrong numbers.
Oh, okay.
I realized that when I went to look at my phone.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
when
whatever.
I was like, you're sitting in my seat, like I was thinking in my head, and I was like, maybe I should check my phone before I yell at these people. I don't want to be that guy that's like, you're sitting in my seat. Oh, yeah, let me see your phone. Well, damn, I'm an idiot.
Okay. So, yeah, I had gone to the theater. So Mortal Kombat opened the same night as Demon Slayer. I went to go see Demon Slayer rather than Mortal Kombat. So I watched Mortal Kombat on HBO Lance, and it was a good experience. But yeah, you're right. I'd actually definitely prefer watching it in theaters.
Yeah, this is the kind of movie because the plot doesn't really have any strength to it, right? Like you're watching it
all
mainly
spectacle.
for the visuals. Yeah,
it's all spectacle.
It's all spectacle,
Oh, yeah.
all fan service and stuff. This is the kind of movie that really shines on a theater screen rather than sitting in your own home. Like if I'm sitting in my own home, I want to watch something that's like good, right? And not to say that this isn't good. This was more fun than it was good, right? So I think the theater experience
I
definitely
rewatched
elevated
parts
it
of
a
it
little
on
bit.
HBO Max.
Yeah.
And I rewatched some of it on HBO Max, and man, the dialogue is so bad at times, and the story is laughable. But I still had so much fun watching it. I still really enjoyed my time, and I do think it was better in the theaters. But here's the other thing I'll say, Lance. I watched the opening 7 minutes, and I love samurai stuff, and so that's what the opening 7 minutes is basically a samurai fight. And I'm like, holy crap, this is awesome, because it was. And all went downhill action-wise from there. Don't get me wrong, some of the action later was really good, but because that was like the only real samurai fighting the whole movie, that was actually the best action of the entire movie for me personally.
Are you kidding me? I went back. I told my wife, I said, can you believe these people brought a 5-year-old in to see this movie?
That was stupid.
There was a 5-year-old in there. And Anna's like, well, how bad was it? So I went to HBO Max and I showed her the scene of the winged person getting driven through the hat.
Kung Lao's hat.
Thing. Yeah. I said, this is what was in the movie. And my wife was like, how can you, why do you think that's cool? She was asking me. Because I literally clapped in the movie theater. I was like, that's awesome.
It was. No, that was really cool, but that was pretty gross. That was pretty nasty.
Yeah. But there was a 5-year-old in there and probably a 7-year-old in this movie. Now, I was a little annoyed when I walked into Deadpool 2 and saw children in that movie. But I get it because most parents don't understand that, yes, it's a superhero movie, but it's an adult superhero movie. And the violence wasn't nearly as bad as it is in Mortal Kombat. Like Mortal Kombat, people are getting arms ripped off and driven through saw blades and their souls being sucked out. Like it is so much worse than Deadpool.
Freaking Jax, like freaking clapped a guy's head into pieces. Yeah, it's pretty. It's awesome. Brutal. Yeah, it's cool. Like if you like it, gore, but it's
I know it's fake, but a child doesn't.
Exactly.
It felt very video game, right? It felt.
That's the one thing I'll say about this movie is that they pull moves directly from the video game.
Yeah,
that were awesome. Yes, so I agree with you, Sam.
I feel like it very much scratched the Mortal Kombat itch. Like previous iterations, they like they didn't really deliver on the fatalities and stuff. And this one, it was like at least every 10 minutes there was a fatality coming on.
It's
Yeah,
not
it was
fake.
awesome.
Matt says that everything that happened in Mortal Kombat was absolutely true. It was a documentary. Real found footage documentary.
That's right. Found footage of the Outworld tournament prelims.
That never happens.
The prelims.
Yeah, it was very much in the vein of Cloverfield, but for real. It was all real.
It's so real.
No, it's I definitely like the 1995 when that original one came out.
Yeah,
something like that.
That holds a special place in my heart just because I watched it as a child and stuff. But this definitely feels more Mortal Kombat, and I feel like they made Liu Kang like. I always thought Liu Kang was always like the premier character in the games, right?
To me, yeah.
But he always seemed like to be like the more tame character, right? Like they always had characters like 6 arms and like lasers shooting out of their eyes and everything.
Yeah.
Mike from the Grizzle Geek just asked, Cloverfield's not real? No, they have a Cloverfield that's in space, and that one is real, Mike. The other one's not so much. So
Accurate.
10 Cloverfield Lane isn't a great movie.
Liu Kang always seemed like the wimpy one, right? Like when you look at him compared to all these other monstrosities and stuff, he was always like, oh, he's just the normal human, but he's cool, so everybody likes him. In this movie, they kind of make him like a very like
he's kind of a dick.
up his ass, like yeah, like he's very much, and that's how I always thought of him as a kid, was very straight edge, like stick up his butt, like never does anything wrong, and I love that they kind of did that in this movie, how they portrayed that character. But the best part has to be Kano, who definitely seems ripped off from the Suicide Squad movie of
Captain Boomerang.
Jai Courtney's character.
Captain Boomerang.
It's like a direct rip off.
Better?
No, I like Jai Courtney. He was one of the. I liked him in Suicide Squad.
He was fine, but Kano
was useless.
Hilarious.
It was like his character, but turned up to 11.
Okay. Yeah,
But
Kano was like one of the best parts of that whole movie. He was so funny, and the chemistry he had with the other characters was great. The whole making fun of him thing to get his aura out, or whatever they called it in the movie.
Yeah.
Kano was awesome. I don't know if you guys saw the memes about how the actor was hospitalized with back pain due to carrying the whole movie.
Yeah.
Which the main guy, what's his name?
Cole Young.
Yeah, the new character they made up.
Does anybody completely understand what his power is?
Like he gets like shield, but
body armor.
But like it gathers energy that he can then disperse. It kind of has like Black Panther suit vibes to me.
Yeah, but then he still gets his ass kicked. He's getting pummeled by Sub-Zero.
Yeah,
and you think you're going to have this one explosive moment, and it never comes. It just seemed like an odd character to focus the whole movie on, right? Like there's so many other characters that you could have made the focal point of this movie that people actually recognize. I don't remember this guy at all.
Well, he's not from the game. I think he's going to
Aquaman armor.
Yeah. I think he's going to be Johnny Cage, or he's going to, because his pants look just like Johnny Cage's pants.
Well, Johnny Cage was teased them at the end of the movie.
Yeah, I saw that, but I don't know what that means yet, right? We don't know what that means. We don't know if Cole Young is going to be Johnny Cage or if he is Johnny Cage, but he was dressed just like Johnny Cage at the end of the movie.
Well, I'm pretty sure Cole Young is in the Mortal Kombat games.
I'm pretty sure he's not. They made him up for the movie.
I don't think he is.
Did they?
I'm pretty sure. I'm not a huge Mortal Kombat fan.
Matt says he gets the power of a Snuggie.
Yeah, okay, so Matt also says that Cole is the descendant of Scorpion, which is correct.
Yes,
and that is probably one of my biggest complaints of the movie is not enough Scorpion. Like,
get over
I think that's going to be fixed.
In the new, if they get a sequel, Scorpion will be in it more. But
you can't.
He didn't show up until the third act. I was like, man. I mean, he was in the opening scene, but not as Scorpion. And then he was in the final fight, and it was awesome. But I wanted more. I wanted more Scorpion. So if we get a sequel, bring that man out of the gates of hell and let him hang out the whole time.
Yeah, so there's fans are actively petitioning for Ryan Reynolds to be cast.
Ryan Reynolds is actively petitioning for Ryan Reynolds to be in the next
but
movie.
it started with fans. He just addressed it and said, yeah, I'll do that. Like he did a Mint Mobile commercial about the Mortal Kombat stuff and Mint Mobile being, I think it won like best wireless company or something like that. But it started on Twitter from fans.
From what I know of Johnny Cage, that would probably be a pretty cool casting.
Well,
But
what I know of
just
Ryan
wonder
Reynolds
if they
is
have
he
enough
would
money
definitely
for
do
him.
something like that, right?
Yeah, I
Like
think
Ryan
he would.
Reynolds does weird projects just because they seem fun. Like Underground 6, not a good movie.
No.
And from what I understand, he didn't make a ton of money off of it.
It was just an aviation gin commercial.
Yeah. So he didn't make Deadpool money on Underground. Is it called Underground 6? Am I right?
6 Underground, I think.
6 Underground.
Whatever
and
it is.
Dave Franco gets redshirted in like the first act of that movie.
You know what? I didn't even watch it.
I haven't seen it either.
I was like,
It's a tough one.
Or he comes in and does Hobbs and Shaw for like 5 minutes.
Right.
His character was great in that, though.
Yeah. Ryan Reynolds does things that he thinks his fans like. I don't think it comes down to money. Like he does things based on what fans want to see him in.
Which I really want to see Free Guy.
Now that he's sold aviation gin, he can pick and choose his roles.
Did he sell it?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's trying to make that George Clooney money.
Well, doesn't he like own Mint Mobile as well? Or is he just like...
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, the man's busy.
Dude, that's what I would do. If I was a movie star, I would just start investing in all these little startups. Like Ashton Kutcher owns so many different companies and makes bank off of it. Like he just invests in tech startups.
Yes.
Smart.
Mike says Ryan Reynolds will be Johnny Cage in 2. That is my reality, and I don't want to hear different. Dude, they couldn't cast anybody else. It has to be Ryan Reynolds.
I'm sure they can find other
now.
people. But Ryan Reynolds would be great. I agree. Get that guy in some sunglasses, making quips.
There's a rumor that Cole Young might actually turn out to be Scorpion.
Like he'll transition into the role of Scorpion?
Yeah. Because he is a descendant. So that tracks.
I don't know.
I mean,
I don't think he's Johnny Cage, though.
I guess that's okay, but I really like the actor that played Scorpion.
Yeah.
So I would like to see him do it, but I can never think of his name, but I've seen him in a bunch of stuff, and he's great.
He was in 47 Ronin. He's in Wolverine.
Yeah, he's the token samurai character in like a lot of things. He was in Westworld as a samurai. Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
And he doesn't speak any English in like that show either. He didn't speak any English except for Get Over Here. And
he speaks pretty good English.
No, I know he does. But it's just funny because he didn't speak any English in Mortal Kombat or any English in Westworld.
So the Get Over Here part seemed kind of cheap once it was delivered. Like I didn't get the excitement that I thought I was going to get when I heard him say that.
Because it wasn't very good.
Yeah.
The line wasn't delivered very great. But I'll say this. Here's what is weird to me, and maybe I'm imagining it. When I saw the trailer, I was like, that's the worst Get Over Here I've ever heard. But then when I saw it in the movie, it was better. It's as if they used like a different take for the actual movie than they did in the trailer. But it still wasn't amazing.
Yeah, it felt kind of cheap. But all the other fan service moments, like I loved the scene where Sub-Zero and Scorpion are fighting, and Sub-Zero kneels down and turns to ice, and Scorpion goes and attacks the ice, and Sub-Zero's like 5 feet behind it. That's straight from the video game. Yeah. Or when Sub-Zero builds an ice wall and throws the Scorpion through it, and then comes out on the other side and like hits him or something like that. I don't remember exactly what it is, but that's a special move from the video game. I love the attention to detail when it came to those things. They just need better script writers.
I don't know.
This movie could have the potential to be a little bit better.
they were just trying to set up as many fights as possible, right? The script is just a device to get these guys fighting, and that's all anybody really wants, right? You want to see, you want to see the fatalities, you want to see the uppercuts, you want to see the weird fight locations, you want to see those crazy dungeons, you want to see the uppercut down into the spikes. I think they're saving that one for the sequel, but there's going to be an uppercut where someone gets knocked 60 stories down onto some spikes. That's going to happen.
Sure. They're going to get more brutal.
Yeah.
But are they going to bring back the characters that died? Are they going to bring them back from the dead, you think?
So the ones that like smoked away, that kind of got enveloped in the smoke and then carried away, I think they're intending to come back. But the Earth Realm characters that get dispatched, I don't think they're coming back.
For the one that gets diced in half.
Yeah, she didn't get misted away, did she?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Sub-Zero.
She was not salvageable.
Going to have to remain. So it would be hard to do a Mortal Kombat movie and not have Sub-Zero in it. But do you guys think this is going to sequel? Is it doing well enough, you think?
Yeah,
it's doing great.
So Sub-Zero turns into Noob Saibot.
What?
That's at least. Yes, it is. He's like the dead version of yes, he's the dead version of Sub-Zero. He's Noob Saibot.
I thought he was just like a smoke ninja. Maybe I haven't downloaded the lore of Mortal Kombat.
I've owned pretty much every game they've ever come out with.
Yeah, I would say you're more of a fan of it than I am. I haven't played Mortal Kombat since.
Yeah, my go-to was
90s.
Baraka, and he wasn't in this movie, and it kind of bummed me out a little bit. He was my go-to. He had like the Wolverine claws. He kind of reminded me of that girl because I didn't recognize the girl with the big wide mouth.
Yeah, I thought she was a gender bent Baraka, but maybe I misunderstood.
She's not. She's something else, but
I'm gonna have to look it up. I've got the cast list up here. What is she listed at? Melina. I'm not familiar with Melina in the. What is that? I wonder if that's a character they made up for the movie. Like I say, I'm not like a super big Mortal Kombat fan.
Mike, I agree with you, but I think Godzilla versus Kong was worse. So, because this movie, Katana. Oh, I do remember her from the games. Melina.
Yeah, Melina is who she is.
So
she's in the games.
Godzilla versus Kong, I think, was worse than this movie, just because this movie understands what it is and realizes that it doesn't have to prop itself up on story too much. Like, people went there to see the fighting. Godzilla versus Kong, every time they were fighting, it would pan away from the fight and talk about some stupid story that nobody cared about, right? This movie has, in my opinion, more fighting than Godzilla versus Kong. Would you guys agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
I think it has more, yeah.
And then it actually focuses on that fighting. It focuses on that fighting when they're fighting. It doesn't pan off to something else. And the whole plot of this movie was there is a contest of champions, right? And there's the, what do they call it? The Elder World? Outworld. Thank you. There's the Outworld, and then there's Earth, right? And the Outworld has beat the Earth, 9 times, I think. 9 times, or 9 out of 10 times, or something like that. If they beat them 10 times, then the Outworld gets to take over Earth, and humans will be their slaves, essentially.
I thought it was the other way around.
No, they have to beat them 10 times, and then Earth becomes part of the Outworld. So they're trying to win this last one because they'll gain, they'll be able to take over Earth if they win 10 times.
Because then they'll get their fast pass to Disneyland.
Yeah, apparently, right? They get their free cup of coffee if they buy 10 times. They get their free cup of coffee.
They get to punch the cards.
So they really want to win, and the people on Earth that are part of the Mortal Kombat, they understand what's happening. They got to find champions, right? Because all the champions have been killed. So they're on a hunt to find these champions to beat Outworld, and then the champions are not really living up to what they should be, right? So they got to train them. It's a really like the story's like pretty cut and dry in my opinion.
Yeah, you
Oh, and
have like
if somebody kills a champion, they gain that Mortal Kombat badge, I guess.
yeah.
So that's how Sonya becomes a Mortal champion, because she kills Kano.
Yeah, so you have like a chase montage at the beginning, then you have a training montage, then you have more training montage, then you have the fatality montage. It's just
it's a lot of
montage
montages.
after montage.
The one that was laughable about this whole movie that I was like, that's just dumb. Jax gets his arms ripped off, right, by Sub-Zero, frozen, and they shatter off, right? And then they affix them with these, you know, pretty dinky looking
Crappy
robot arms, right?
Yeah.
Well, the premise of the movie is they got to find their inner, I call it inner chi, but I don't remember what they call it in the movie.
Arcana.
Their power, right?
They called it Arcana.
His power just happens to be that he's going to get muscle robot arms. So he had to lose his arms to get his Arcana or whatever. Why didn't they just leave him his arms and give him muscle robot arms? What was the point of having them snap off? It was just kind of eye rolling a little bit.
I don't know.
Like what happens if
it seemed as plausible as Kano shooting a laser out of his eye?
Yeah,
like it was as plausible as anything else.
Did any of you guys notice that with those dinky little arms, his hand looked kind of like Deadpool's hand when it's growing back in the original Deadpool?
A little bit. Baby hand.
Yeah, his little baby hand.
I just remember thinking to myself, that better not be what he has this whole movie.
Yeah, that would
he's supposed to have like Buzz Lightyear arms. But I will say his arms look better than Cyborg and Justice League.
Dude, that actor bulked up. I was right, by the way. That is Jimmy Olsen on Supergirl. That's the actor that plays Jimmy Olsen. And he is ripped.
What?
Yeah, Jax is the same actor that plays Jimmy Olsen on Supergirl.
Like he was 80% arms. He's just doing bicep curls and bench press. That's all that guy was doing.
I mean, and he was fit and he looked good in Supergirl too, but man, his arms were massive. They were like Ben Affleck and Batman shape. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was just like arms. Like the rest of his body seemed normal, but his arms were like 3 times the normal size.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they were digitally
Dude, I don't even
rendered.
recognize him.
I do. I recognize his voice and his face. Definitely.
He's been in a lot more than just Supergirl. Or maybe I was thinking the Supergirl actor was somebody else.
Maybe you were. This movie was a lot of fun, though, but it was dumb.
It was kind of like Nobody.
Nobody was a better story than this. I think Nobody was a smarter movie.
They're both kind of stupid. They're both kind of stupid.
I loved Nobody.
In no world can you convince me that Saul Goodman can fight like that. In no world.
Dude, he did all his own stunts.
I believe it,
but they're called stunts, not real.
Well, look at the way
padded mattresses and
look at the way Keanu Reeves runs. Do you think he can fight as well as John Wick? Come on.
Keanu Reeves, though, is a sharpshooter in real life.
That's true.
Yeah, like Keanu Reeves is a badass. Saul Goodman, not so much. Saul Goodman has this, not this.
Yeah. Keanu Reeves is definitely more believable as an action hero.
Nobody was pretty dumb, but still had some moment. Was like, that was awesome. When I'm watching it.
Yeah.
They're both equally stupid, in my opinion.
I disagree, but
I want to see a sequel of both.
Yeah, I mean,
probably not going to get it though.
I mean, they're definitely like popcorn movies, where you go and you pay the extra $9 for your extra popcorn, and then and then you sit there and you munch and you throw some popcorn in the air every time someone gets beheaded or fatality'd, and you have a good time. You shout at the screen.
That's something people do. I need to do that. That sounds fun. Like anytime there's a beheading, just throw a
whoa!
I remember,
match, dude. You got to do it in a wrestling match.
I saw the second or first Conjuring in the movie theater, and there was some woman in the audience that said, "Don't go in there. Don't go like at the top of her lungs, like every time like something was gonna happen. Like just like you see in the movies of like some woman watching a horror movie on TV or whatever.
Don't go in there.
And she's like, don't open that door. Don't open. This lady was doing exactly that. She had been like mid-60s or something like that, doing exactly that in a crowded movie theater for The Conjuring. And I was laughing my butt off. Like it was better than the movie.
Dude, I don't know about you guys, but when I go to a movie, I really get into it. I like to play it up. I like to shout.
Yeah.
I like to get crazy. Especially if I had gone to see Mortal Kombat with you guys, I've been going, whoa, no! You know, especially the Kung Lao.
You could have came with us.
What would you call that? The biopsy.
Yeah.
The Kung Lao dissection. The
Dude,
dissection
awesome.
of the bat lady.
Dude, I loved like you go through like it's cutting it through and you see like all the bone and brains and like all the organs and stuff, when most of the movie, like whenever they hit somebody, was just like a bunch of blood spewing out, right?
Yeah.
But this, they actually paid attention to like, okay, what does this woman's insides look like? Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, that's how the fatalities are in the most recent Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Although I was bummed out that I did not want to see somebody rip somebody's head off from their neck and have their spine attached. I would have.
Yeah.
Next movie.
Goro was getting ready to do that to Cole, and then Cole powered up. He powered up, and then he was able to avoid getting his spine ripped out. But he goes, "It feels like my spine's ripping out."
Oh, did he say that?
Yeah. Feels like he's gonna rip out my spine.
Okay, can we address a pretty big elephant in the room with this movie? Here's what it is.
Dude, I told you not to call out my weight like that, man. It makes me feel really.
And Lance, I'm going to credit you with this because you actually turned to me during the movie and made comment to this. But Kano and Sonya are fighting that like lizard, invisible chameleon.
Reptile. It was Reptile.
Oh, it was Reptile. Okay. See, I'm not a Mortal Kombat whiz. So they're fighting Reptile. And Reptile is, secreting acid. And then Kano somehow is able to punch through Reptile and pull out his heart, but his hand didn't get, burnt or melted off.
Okay. So what's your?
So where does the saliva come from? The inside.
From the mouth.
And he put his hand on the inside.
Comes from the mouth.
Yeah, but it's also combined with like stomach acids and stuff. Like I think he was close enough.
It's not a big plot hole. It was just kind of.
I think he was close enough that he would have singed some knuckle hairs at least.
I agree.
You don't know that.
I'm just saying, if something's spitting acid.
That was that was fun kill. Pah! And he's got the heart, and he's pulls it out.
If it's me and something was just spitting acid spit at me, I'd probably wear nitriles. I'm just saying. Before I put my hand through its heart.
Douse yourself in baking soda.
Yeah. Suck up all the acid.
Yeah. Turn yourself into like one of those elementary school.
My new name is Arm and Hammer.
Elementary school volcano.
What character do you want to be in Mortal Kombat? Arm and Hammer.
Arm and Hammer. All right. What we need to do is rate the top 3 and the bottom 3 fights. That's what we need to do. So we each could pick your favorite, pick your least favorite, and that's 3 each, right? Or that's 3 total. That's what we need to do.
I don't even remember all the fights.
Yeah, but you remember the best ones. You remember your favorite.
I can remember. Yeah. I mean, if you all start, my favorite was Scorpion and Sub-Zero. That was my favorite.
It wasn't long enough. That's my one grief with that.
I agree, but it was still my favorite fight.
Wait, the first one or the second one? The Revenge?
First, I'm going to rank them 1 and 2. And the Revenge is my favorite fight. And then my second favorite would be the opening fight between the two of them.
Yeah.
And if I had to pick a third, I don't know what I would pick.
Kano.
No, you're not picking a third. We're each picking one.
Okay, well then I'm sorry.
Geez, Max. What the hell? No, I'm just kidding. Max is like, I'm going to pick 8. And you guys get to pick half. Half of one. That's all you get. No, my favorite's Kano when he puts that girl through the saw blade.
What?
I think you should. I think you should say what's
Kung Lao.
Kung Lao. Which, sorry, their names start to meld together a little bit. Sorry, Kung Lao puts that girl through the saw blade. I think maybe not so much fight, but my favorite kill was that one.
That was the best fatality. Yeah.
It
Because
was awesome.
yeah, it was a great
Stuck with me.
fatality. Well, the Jax fight was my least favorite. With I don't even know what character that was, but his
Jax?
fatality was pretty cool.
Sub-Zero. Oh,
My
you're talking
least.
about at the end.
Yeah,
The guy
yeah,
with the hammer.
yeah. That was my least favorite fight.
The Liu Kang, was that Smoke? Who was that?
Cabal. You talking about Cabal?
Cabal. The Liu Kang Cabal fight was pretty awesome.
Yeah,
good
I was
when he does
kind
that
of hoping
kick.
when the dragon, the fire dragon appears, kind of hoping it wouldn't just like envelop him in flames, but like actually crunch him in half,
Yeah, same. I was like, bite its head off, but no.
and it just
They
burned him.
need to have some plausibility in there. The dragon was made of fire.
So then, Sam, what was your
You
favorite?
can't bite.
I actually really enjoyed the Kano reptile fatality. I thought that was a great introduction to Kano. I was like, oh, dude, they got reptile. Look at that. And then he was
Little
an
known
actual reptile.
fact, that was actually that actor's audition for Jurassic Park, but he lost out to Chris Pratt. So they just took that scene. He was recreating the kitchen scene in Jurassic Park 2.
Wah, wah.
You didn't see the similarities between that scene and the Velociraptor scene from Jurassic Park 2?
You mean Jurassic Park 1?
Okay.
Was that one?
Yes.
Yeah, in the kitchen.
Yes.
That's one.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say I thought it was a really cool kill. I thought the reptile design was really fun. You know, the invisibility, and then how he stabs the flare into him so they can keep track of him.
Yeah. That was pretty ingenious.
That was pretty
'Cause
great.
Every movie you see where there's an invisible person, they dump like milk on them or something like that, right? Or some sort of paint, or like the Invisible Man just did it. You know, they dump paint on him. Seeing the flare sticking out of his stomach or wherever it was
It was his back.
was pretty a different way of doing the same thing, right?
Yeah,
So at
It
least
was
they had a
cool.
little bit of originality.
I like that. And then when he finishes him off with the punch through his chest and pulls his heart out, like that was pretty freaking rad.
Did he do the?
Yeah, and he's holding it up. Oh, no. That was pretty rad. Yeah, that was probably my favorite. That one got me pretty jazzed. I thought the fights up to that had been, ho hum, but after that, I was like, okay, they're serious. They're serious about these fatalities.
The first fight was pretty cool. You know, the Sub-Zero Scorpion
Sub-Zero.
fight for the beginning of the movie.
Oh yeah, that was pretty cool.
That was pretty cool.
It seemed like the blood squibs, the digital blood squibs, were they were going a little over the top with the blood squibs, but
Yeah.
But otherwise,
Yeah.
it was pretty cool, like ninja fight.
I referenced a movie that Max made me watch, Centurion, that it reminded me of. There's a scene in Centurion where somebody gets their head cut off, and it's just like a spigot. It just goes.
Yeah, that movie's pretty bad.
Yeah, to the
story-wise.
point where I had to shut it off. And I meanwhile, I'm the guy that when Kung Lao puts that chick through the saw blade, I was like, yeah. But Centurion, I had to shut off. I probably could watch it now.
Wuss.
That might have been more at a time that I couldn't handle that stuff. I'm a wuss. I'm trying to get you to watch the Conjuring movies with me.
I just don't like horror.
I bought
What? Oh, you don't like horror?
No,
Did you not enjoy Mortal Kombat?
no, I
Mortal
did. That's
Kombat's
not
kind of-
horror.
It's kind of a
horror.
action horror.
I don't
Yeah.
see any elements of horror in it.
The reptile scene in particular.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess not. I don't know. I'm not really into horror. I like it, and it. It Chapter 2 wasn't as good, but I like it. I don't know. I
Yeah,
liked
I
Doctor
liked it.
Sleep.
Doctor Sleep.
Doctor Sleep was really good. There's some
I don't
I
really
like,
consider Doctor Sleep like a horror movie.
but I think of it more as suspense than horror.
like The
but it does have
Shining was
horror
more
elements.
horror than Doctor Sleep.
Mm-hmm.
The Shining's pretty good.
Yeah.
I shouldn't
You
say.
like
Conjuring's
Hill House?
pretty
Did
good.
you watch Hill House, Max?
No.
You should
Dude.
watch, dude. You gotta watch Hill
The hell?
House.
Yeah, I
Bro,
don't
watch
How did
Hill
you not
House,
watch
bro.
that? We reviewed it on this show. Do you just
'Cause
not come to those
wasn't-
episodes?
I wasn't on that week.
He wasn't
Because
on
I
that.
was
week.
out on
I
my
don't think he
vacation.
was on that week. Dude, you should
Bro.
watch. You definitely need to watch Hill House.
Hill House might be one of my favorite horror properties or horror series or movies of all time.
It's so
I would
good.
say, like, if because you know me, I'm a big horror movie fan. if I had to call my top 10, Hill House would be in the top 5 movies or TV shows.
Wow.
See, Max, I used to not like shrimp. And then I went to this place called Bonefish Grill, and they had this item called Bang Bang.
You went to the Sizzler.
They had Bang Bang Shrimp, which was dynamite. And I was like, whoa, maybe I just didn't understand how good shrimp could be.
See,
And
I saw something called Bang Bang Shrimp, but I thought it was a strip club.
for midgets, midget strip club. Jeez, Lance.
Oh man.
No, but horror, it was the same thing. I was like, I don't know, I just don't like horror. But then when you see how good it can be, you're like, oh, maybe I need to start giving it a different look. So
yeah, I'm not into like cheap jump scare horror, right, Sam?
Yeah,
like
me
that's
neither.
what
Yeah.
what most people think of horror movies. It's like cheap, like Freddy Krueger's and the Jason.
Yeah, you know,
like cheap jump
the
scares.
slasher movies where a guy comes out with a knife and stabs somebody in the neck.
But when it's done intelligently, they can be some of the best movies.
Like, have you seen Psycho?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Norman Bates.
Psycho's good.
Yeah, but the twist, right? The twist is so game changing, right? It makes you rethink the rest of the movie. And that's what good horror does, is that what it does is puts in your mind something other than the monster that's terrorizing the people, because that's what horror is, like a parallel to people's actual trauma in life. And that's what Hill House is all about, is that it explores the actual scary thing that happened to them when they were kids, the trauma that it produced, and the like ineffective coping methods they all adopt, right? You know, there's one guy who's like a total drug addict. You have one of the sisters who just completely cuts off all emotional relationships. She'll go to a bar and she'll pick up somebody to sleep with that night, and then she just cuts them out. You have one of the sisters who's like just this bottle of anxiety. She always sees this image of like a ghost. They call the bent neck lady. Oh my gosh, that was so
Dude,
freaky.
you got to watch it. Don't
And then
spoil
the
it,
twist
'cause I
of
really
it
want
was
him to
so
see it.
good. It was so good.
Yeah,
but
that's what Walking Dead does too. Like Walking Dead is like a zombie, like horror show, right? But it deals less with the zombies and more about the people and how evil people are to each other, right?
Yeah,
That's why Walking Dead is so good.
Listen. Here's the thing about Walking Dead: the title doesn't refer to the zombies.
Mm-hmm.
It refers to the human characters. They're the Walking Dead.
Yeah.
They just don't know it yet. And then another zombie movie that will open your eyes is called Train to Busan. It's a Korean movie, and it like freaking blew my mind, because check this out: the zombies never kill anybody. It's super scary, super freaky, but the zombies, they never eat anybody. They just bite you. They just want to turn you into a zombie. That's all they want from you. And I was
So
like,
they're vampires.
no, they're communists.
No, like truly great horror takes it just tries to be smart about it, right? Like it just tries to put like an actual thing that we're all facing and then turn it into a horror thing, right? So like that Train to Busan talks, they're communists, right? Essentially.
Yeah, and if you think about Korean history, that makes total sense, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Vampires are a different thing, because a vampire doesn't turn every victim into a vampire. They get to choose. They get to choose who they give their power to. So it's a totally different monster. But
yeah,
horror has so many layers, man. I mean, you can go as deep as you want to get with horror. Like the Babadook, dude. The Babadook will freaking blow your mind. What was the other one?
Get Out is amazing.
There was one. Is it Hereditary? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
That movie.
Was that the one with was that the one with the pictures?
No, it's the one with the kid whose head. You know what I'm talking about? The girl, the little girl.
I know which
I've
movie
got-
you're talking
It's
about. I
got
haven't
Toni
seen it.
Collette. Toni Collette is the mom. Dude, movie is freaking. It's bonkers, man.
Yeah.
But it gets you thinking about different. Even like Invisible Man. Like the thing about Invisible Man that drives me crazy is like when you're invisible, you're just anonymous in everything that you do, right?
Right.
But most of us are anonymous all the time, right? Who cares what I'm doing at the store, just dressed in my normal clothes? Who cares? Like you actually have to do a lot
I care,
to
buddy.
be visible.
I care.
And there are some people, like homeless people, are actually invisible all the time. And it's not like they're going around murdering people or robbing stores or anything. They're just chilling. In fact, the thing that they hate the most probably about their life is being invisible. Like they have to hold up signs saying, hey, look at me. And no Invisible Man movie has ever touched on that at all. Like the involuntary nature of anonymity.
What about Ghost Dad?
That's a ghost, right? The ghost is a monster that's filled with regret, right? So
Is that the Bill Cosby one where he's invisible?
Yeah. But he's a ghost, right? He's dead. And so that one is like a fantasy about regret, and ghosts kind of represent regret of those who have died, right? So there's all these like different layers, man. You're missing out on so much mind-bending stuff if you're not doing horror.
Yeah. That's why I'm really excited for this new Doctor Strange movie because it's done by Sam Raimi, who's a lot of people consider one of the best horror
Army of Darkness, Evil
Ash.
Dead.
Yeah, and he's doing Doctor Strange.
Spider-Man 3.
Which was
that was a
scary.
horror movie.
Yeah, it was scary for other
Terrifying.
reasons. Can't roofie if you're a ghost. But that's why I'm really excited for Doctor Strange, because I think Doctor Strange is going to be, not only is it going to be that movie that totally turns the MCU into a different beast, right? Like that movie is going to change the trajectory of the whole MCU, but it's also dealing with a subject or a genre that they haven't really dived into yet. I think
the cosmic horror, dude. I think that's a great place to like bring in Galactus, because Galactus is like he's like a Lovecraftian horror monster, honestly.
Yeah,
which is just like this cosmic force of destruction. If Galactus had tentacles over his mouth, he would be Cthulhu, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's just this planet devouring monster that just is incomprehensible. Like that would be an excellent place to bring that in, because it very much fits with the Lovecraftian thing, which is what they're talking about. The Multiverse of Madness is kind of a nod to the Mountains of Madness, which is a Lovecraft title.
Yeah, that's the other one, Lovecraft Country, which I talked to Sam about, I think, right?
Yeah, we talked
which
about
it kind of dives into that sci-fi horror type stuff, but adds the element of 1950s racism into it, like very much like Get Out, kind of like it's like Get Out and the sci-fi horror stuff all mixed together. It changes the horror genre into something that's like smart and actually moves the story forward and isn't about how many times they can get you to like dump popcorn all over yourself or something like that, like the Ring or what's the Sarah Michelle Gellar one? The Grudge.
Oh,
yeah, or the New Grudge, which I think at least once every quarter I start talking about how much I hated the new version of the Grudge.
It's not good. It's not good.
Like I walked out of the movie theater and wanted to put my hand through the wall of the movie theater because I hated that movie.
For sure, horror has a lot of turds,
duds.
Yeah, a lot of turds.
The Rob Zombie movies are fantastic. The Devil's Rejects. Did he do? I don't think that was.
I don't think he did that. He didn't do that. Somebody else.
Yeah, the House of Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects, and I don't remember the third one. From Hell. Was it From Hell? I don't remember.
Isn't that the Jack the Ripper one?
Damn it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't remember what it was, but he did 3 of them. It's a threequel, right? So those are all like they take the idea of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but they add this human element into them that makes them so much better. The Devil's Rejects, I think, was nominated for an Academy Award, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I don't know.
That movie is phenomenal. But you got to give horror a chance. We kind of went
And we went on a big tangent there.
Mortal Kombat, and then we went, let's talk about Rob Zombie.
I mean, but I mean, Mortal Kombat has a lot of horror elements in it.
Absolutely.
And you know, if you can enjoy those things, and there's a lot to enjoy in Mortal Kombat. It's just there's not a lot of thought provoking going on in it. It's just, you know, it's total fan service, total gore porn.
Which I hope the next one I hope they really button up the screenwriting process and try to make something that's a little bit more.
Nah, I really don't care. I just want to see the fights. I want to see the fatalities. But
I think it would make it so much better to have those same fights and fatalities with a solid story.
What you need is fun. It needs to be fun.
Well, nothing says fun like Ryan Reynolds.
Kano was very fun in this movie. Ryan Reynolds, he has done a lot of very fun roles. Hopefully he's not too much of a stick in the mud, but if he brings Deadpool 1 and not so much Deadpool 2, like, it could be really fun.
Matt says we're going really deep on this movie. Did you tune out for the last 15, 20 minutes? Because we haven't been talking about
because we started talking about other stuff.
They were lecturing me on how I have poor taste and need to give horror another chance.
No, Matt, we recognize the shallow thing that Mortal Kombat's trying to deliver. But I think for the most part, it did deliver on its promise, which was, hey, you're going to see some shallow thrills here. Get ready. And yeah, you know, you had. I thought at least the reptile fatality, the Jax getting his arms frozen off, and the whatever the dragon girl, her fatality. I thought those were really good fatalities. They didn't shy away from the gore. I thought that was pretty good.
The one that I thought could have done better was what's her name? Melina.
Yeah, they didn't develop her at all.
She gets punched through the stomach, and it shows that picture of a hole in her stomach and see her spine right through. I think they could have done that one so much more gory.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, that was okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I thought there was so much potential there, and for some reason they didn't explore it anymore. Maybe any more blood, and it would have gone into NC-17.
They did say before the movie came out that they were making it as R as they could without going over the line. So that could be why.
I didn't like the soul sucking. I thought that was kind of a cheap fatality. Like, I know that's from the game. That is straight out of the game, but I didn't think it was very cool.
I wanted to see more Raiden.
Yeah, Raiden, he got kind of sidelined.
He has some cool
fatalities. He's supposedly the leader of the humans or whatever, but he
was my favorite to play as. But
dude, you make lightning shoot. He was essentially Thor.
Well, and you could zip around, you know, teleport behind people, and I loved playing as Raiden when I
always played Baraka.
Yeah, I think I would rotate between the three ninjas: Sub-Zero, Scorpion, and Reptile.
I think that's most people.
But here's an interesting tidbit. Did you know that Reptile was supposed to be a secret character, but he was discovered the very first day they put the game out? They put the arcade game. And this kid found him. This kid found Reptile, and he went to the game designer who was there, and was like, "Dude, I unlocked a character. Who is this guy?" And the guy was like, "I don't know what you're talking about." And he knew what he was talking about, but it forced the kid to keep spending quarters all day trying to redo it, trying to get back to it, and eventually word got out, and it was pulling in so much money with people trying to find the secret character. And it was a little bit of arcade game genius.
Now I bought the newest. Was it the Mortal Kombat game, Max? No, it was Injustice, which once upon a time was Mortal Kombat versus DC, right?
Right.
Yeah, I played that. That's the last Mortal Kombat I played.
Yeah, I bought Injustice 2 for the sole purpose that I could play as the Ninja Turtles.
Dude, that's so awesome. I freaking love those Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
I got to see if they're
good.
on, because Injustice 2 is on Game Pass for PC. I got to see if Turtles are included in that, though, because they weren't included in the base game. Because I'll
Yeah,
have
I
to
had to
download
pay
that and
for
play
the
it if the
DLC.
Turtles are there.
I think I paid
Playing as
$50
Batman's
to
fine,
get
but
all the
come on, playing as Raph? Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And if the Seth Rogen movie, that's what I want them to look like too.
Yeah.
Straight from that game.
So as far as Mortal Kombat goes, the thing, it was very much surface level, shallow, but there was one thing that I was hoping for that didn't deliver, which was the uppercut into the pit of spikes, the death pit. And hopefully they're saving that for number 2. Hopefully we get to see that in number 2. I also want to see a dragon bite somebody in half.
the one thing that I wanted to see was somebody getting kicked so hard that they end up in a different room.
Oh yeah.
Like a whole fight scene that's like in 4 different like landscapes. Like maybe like have that portal guy that they're traveling through. But that was always a staple of the Mortal Kombat. Like certain levels, you could kick them so hard they land in another part of the map or whatever.
Yeah.
That wasn't in that.
And then also in the game, if you were Scorpion, he would and you threw the spear, and the other player dodged the spear so many times, he would stop saying, "Get over here," and he'd say, "Get the F over here," right? That's something I'm looking forward to as well. I want to see all those little things get thrown in here.
Other than that, like I got exactly what I wanted, right, from this movie. Cheap thrills, cheap gore.
Characters you recognize.
Characters I recognize, kind of that nostalgia. It's funny. So I watched this documentary, I think it was on HBO MAX, the Console Wars documentary, Sega and Nintendo. And I didn't know this. So the original Mortal Kombat came out for Genesis and Super Nintendo, I think. And Nintendo, they thought the game was too bloody, so they had Mortal Kombat change all the blood to green. And because they did that, sales for Super Nintendo dropped, and Sega overtook Super Nintendo as the leading game console in America for however long it was, because Sega allowed them to put real like red blood on there. And I didn't know that was the case, because now these games come out and it's like, how gory can we make them no matter what system they're on, right?
Yeah, for real.
But back then, like that was such a concern that Super Nintendo changed the blood to green just to make it less gory.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it almost made their company fall apart.
Well, I don't think so. I mean, you can see how well Nintendo's
they lost
doing.
Quite a bit of money. Well, yeah. That's because later down the road, Sega made a lot of boneheaded decisions. But at that time, Sega Genesis was a better selling console than Super Nintendo.
Yeah, Sega Genesis. Growing up, I had NES. We skipped the Super Nintendo. We got the Genesis, and then we went back to the N64. Didn't get a Dreamcast.
I have one. I love that system.
Dreamcast is cool.
It might be that, and N64 might be my 2 favorite systems of all time. Because the Sega Dreamcast had the internet on it. You could play online. It was the first time you could play online games. Was the Dreamcast. Like they piloted the online console thing. Like it was a special disc you had to put in, everything like that. Like that was all them.
It's so funny because like of the 3 of us, I'm the biggest gamer. But growing up, I didn't play games that much because my parents didn't like video games in the house. So I played Nintendo and Super Nintendo and Sega, but I didn't own at my friends' houses. I didn't own any of those. And
we owned all of them.
My friends probably got annoyed because like I'd come over and they're like, "Hey, let's rollerblade," because that's what we did back in the early '90s with my friends. And I'm like, "Yeah, but I want to play Super Nintendo." Yeah, I was a fruit booter, or like the original PlayStation. I was like, "Yeah, but I want to play Final Fantasy VII."
Yeah,
I need
to breed chocobos.
Yeah,
I need to breed chocobos.
Exactly. I mean, one of my friends, that's all that he wanted to do. So I loved.
Max, is that where you got your love of animal husbandry?
Yeah, man. But like, I had one friend that's all he wanted to do. We'd go over to his house, we'd play Turtles in Time, the arcade game, and like we beat it every time. And I guess come to find out later that that's a really difficult game. But I guess
What, Turtles in Time?
Yeah, but when I was a kid, it didn't seem very hard to me. I don't know.
I hacked my Super Nintendo just to get that game on there.
Oh, did you?
In Time.
You mean your Super Nintendo Classic?
Yeah, I have all the. I have the Sega Classic, the Nintendo Classic, Super Nintendo, and the PlayStation. I haven't hacked the PlayStation yet, but I've hacked the other 3.
The first console I ever got was the Nintendo 64. Like that's the first one we actually owned, which is crazy.
Which is a fantastic system
for sure.
64.
Absolutely, it was a great system. I loved playing Zelda. I loved playing GoldenEye on there. But then I got an Xbox, and that changed everything for me. I haven't really been much into Nintendo ever since moving into that realm.
So did you know that the PlayStation was originally created as an attachment for the bottom of the N64? And then Nintendo at the last minute said, no, we don't want to do this. And so Sony took the design that they were building for the N64 and turned it into the PlayStation.
I didn't know that. Wow.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. It was supposed to be an attachment. The original NES TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the original one where it's all side-scrolling, right?
Yeah.
Might be the hardest Nintendo game I've ever played.
Forever to beat that game.
I don't think I've ever beaten it. I don't think I've ever.
Oh, yeah. The one with the dam, right?
Yeah. The first one.
I never got past the 4th level, but there's like 6 levels.
Yeah.
Never got past.
Hard.
It's very difficult.
Yeah, that's definitely not the one I played. I played Turtles in Time. I know that I've played the original Turtles, but Turtles in Time is the one we played a lot.
Turtles in Time I've beat before. Several times I've beaten Turtles in Time.
Yeah, we beat
the
it
original
all the time.
The original Nintendo Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is so freaking difficult.
Do. That overworld music.
Yeah. My favorite part of Turtles in Time was when you're going through the sewer on the surfboard and things are jumping out from the water. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the pizza monsters that look like aliens.
Yeah. You're like on a big square or something like that, and you're fighting things as they're jumping out on the water onto your raft or whatever it is. Oh, I love that game.
I'm trying to look up pictures of it to remember that one. Oh yeah, I remember playing this game. I don't think I beat this one either, but we had fun with it.
I don't know anybody that's beaten that original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. I'm sure it's happened because there's people that can beat the entire first Mario game.
Oh yeah,
I watched a speedrun playthrough of the original Ninja Turtles game, and like there's not like even any cheats that
this
you
is
can
the
use.
one right here, right? That's the one we're talking about.
No, that's not the original.
That's the arcade game. That's Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game.
Oh, okay. Which one was it? Any of these look familiar?
Yeah. Go in that row, in that second row there, or even in the top row, that third picture in.
This one.
That one.
Okay, I don't know if I played this one actually.
I have it.
First bosses are Bebop and Rocksteady, and
yeah, but
that's so hard, dude.
Yeah.
Remember the sewer level, and you're beating those little purple things. The sewer level was so hard, and I think it's level 2.
Yeah,
it's so hard. But Max, you ever want to borrow my NES Classic? I got it on there.
Noted.
Have some old arcade.
I remember when we got
vibes.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 Manhattan Project, and we finally got to Super Shredder, dude. That freaking blew our minds. We're like, we beat Shredder! And then he comes back as Super Shredder. We're like, no!
Dude, I'm so excited for that new Ninja Turtles movie Seth Rogen's making for Netflix.
I hope it's good. But seriously, if you don't get a chance to, if you're not into Mortal Kombat and not into gore, the first Ninja Turtle movie still holds up, dude. It's still really good.
I think so. Fantastic. I think it's fun. I think it's great.
I watched it just maybe like 2-3 months ago or something like that on a whim, and it's still like hits hard. Like the second Ninja Turtles, specifically the third one's just garbage, but the second one is kind of cheesy, but the first one was so gritty. Like it was really the first gritty comic book adaptation movie ever, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
my
Like now
parents
they're doing it
almost
with like
didn't let me watch
Batman
it.
and all.
Here's some
Huh?
stuff that you probably maybe you didn't know, but I know I brought this up because we've talked about Ninja Turtles so much. But that second Ninja Turtle movie, the professor was supposed to be a Krang. That scientist guy, he was supposed to be a Krang.
Really?
Yeah, and they
That sounds
ditched it.
plausible.
Like, what's the movie called? Secret of the Ooze.
Secret of the Ooze.
What does the secret of the ooze end up being? Nothing. It ends up, it was just an accident. And Donatello's like, that can't be it. It can't be just an accident. At that point, they were supposed to reveal that he was a Krang to the audience, and that he was trying to kind of get them off the scent of the Krang.
That's interesting.
Awesome.
I like Turtles too, Secret of the Ooze. However, one of my biggest issues with it is they bring in Toka and Razor, but why? But no Bebop and Rocksteady. They just did
They
like
were
these weird
originally
stand-ins?
supposed to be Bebop and Rocksteady, but
Was costuming too difficult?
they
Maybe?
weren't allowed to use them for whatever so Kano, the actor that plays Kano, did a interview maybe like a month or two ago where he
Which I
talked
really liked
about,
the character of Kano, by the way. I liked him.
yeah, so he was actually in the suit for one of them in the first one.
You're talking about
Oh.
Kino.
No, sorry, thank you.
Yeah,
Ernie
Mortal
Reyes
Kombat.
He actually, that actor was in the suit, in one of the suits for the first movie as one of the turtles. And then he was saying how originally Razor and what's the name?
Toka and Razor.
Yeah, they were supposed to be Bebop and Rocksteady, but for some reason the studio that owned Mirage or something like that, I guess, wouldn't allow them to use Rocksteady and Bebop.
That's stupid. That's a bummer. Because then the Bebop and Rocksteady we finally got in the updated movie was pretty cool.
Mirage Studios is owned by, I thought that was owned by the creators of Ninja Turtles.
Phil Laird? Or
Peter Laird, Kevin Eastman, Peter Laird. I thought that was their studio.
Yeah, let me find out exact, because I'm just speaking from the memory of reading this article, and I might be giving some false information here. But there was originally they were supposed to be Rocksteady and Bebop, and I'm not sure why they weren't able to use them.
Matt, I'm not making it up, man. Do some digging. There's a guy, a YouTube channel called The Old Turtle Den. That's where I'm sourcing my Secret of the Ooze information.
So I think you're right, Lance. Basically what I'm finding here is Bebop and Rocksteady were originally in the plans for the movie. The problem was that Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird were against it. This is according to CBR.com, due to licensing issues. So it sounds like what you were saying is right.
Yeah, I wasn't like saying it eloquently enough. So like I'm trying to parrot back an article that I read with Kino.
Those guys, isn't it weird how those guys have such a rocky relationship with the Ninja Turtles?
Well, was it Kevin Eastman sold his
shares? Yeah, he sold his ownership
to Peter Laird.
Yeah,
and then Peter Laird sold it to Nintendo, right? Or a Nickelodeon.
Just recently.
Yeah. And then Kevin Eastman was pissed about that, I guess. But Kevin Eastman, dude, he's a convention whore, bro. He goes to as many conventions as he can, signs as many things as he can. That's why you find like a pop with his signature on it. It's worth nothing because he signs so many things. It's kind of like a Stan Lee autograph. Like Stan Lee's autograph is pretty much on everything.
Well,
it might change now that he died, but I'm not. But back in the day, it was so easy to find a Stan Lee autographed anything.
All right, I think we've gone.
Yeah, let's
rate Mortal Kombat.
How much is there to really talk about this movie? It's
not very deep
enough. It's not deep. We kind of knew this going into it that we were going to kind of talk about other things, related to this movie and stuff, but it's not very deep. It's bloody. It has callbacks to the games, which fans of the games will love, which most of us, in our late 20s, mid 30s, we're fans of this game, right? I mean, Mortal Kombat still sells millions of copies a year. I think Mortal Kombat X was a pretty well-received game.
Oh, yeah.
But so I mean, it's not deep, but I walked in excited. I walked out pleased, satisfied, I guess you could say, because it served all the things that a Mortal Kombat fan would want in this movie, right? Much better than Annihilation did, because that movie was straight up garbage.
It was trash.
But I don't know, Sam. Do you have something to add on that before you give your rating? I'll let you go first tonight.
You know, there were highs and lows, and I think the lows were intended to accentuate the highs. Not every fight could end in a fatality, clearly. There was a lot of kind of positioning the characters to either be on one team or another. There were a lot of characters who were top tier. There were some characters who were bottom tier, and some characters who didn't really make a big impression on me. I feel like Cabal and the Dragon Girl and Melina, they were all kind of fodderish characters, so they didn't really get to deliver much.
Cabal at least had more of a role than the guy with the hammer. I don't even know if the guy with the hammer had a
I can't even remember the dude's name. Is General something.
Yeah.
But it felt like they were definitely setting up those characters to get squished or you know, dispatched in some gruesome way. And for the most part, they delivered. You know, and it was a fun movie. I had a fun time. I laughed a lot at the kills and especially the hat buzzsaw. Like that was so freaking
That's
ridiculous.
My favorite scene of that whole movie. Just how
so
gory it was.
But yeah, I had a good time. I would give it a 3 out of 5.
Max, what about you, my friend?
Same. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. I thought it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed watching the movie, but there's not much substance. The story was pretty bad, and some of the dialogue was quite bad. But action was a lot of fun. You know, I enjoyed myself, and I'm not dying to see it again, even though it's on HBO Max and I could watch it for free. I watched a couple of the scenes, but it was just okay. If a sequel comes out, I'll watch it again, though. But yeah, I had fun.
Absolutely. I hope a sequel comes out, especially if they get Ryan Reynolds.
I'm not going to see it if they get Ryan Reynolds. I'm just going to be a contrarian and say I won't see it.
Whatever, Max.
I'm kidding.
But then Deadpool 3 comes out. Max is going to be first in line.
Well, because I love Deadpool.
I love Ryan Reynolds, man. That guy does not disappoint.
Yeah, dude, he's awesome.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I mean, I got what I wanted out of it. It's nothing that I'm like, I have to see that again. Like, I saw Avengers Endgame 9 times in the theater, I think, or something ridiculous like that. This is not a movie that I have to race back to see again. So I think 3 out of 5 is a solid score, right? It sounds like we all have the consensus. We don't usually do that, 3 out of 5, or solid, or the same score, all of us.
It happens on occasion, but yeah, there's usually a little bit of disagreement.
So that brings us to the end of our show. Was there anything you guys wanted to talk about? Any headlines happening? I don't think much has happened, although it is the rumors of Daredevil appearing in the new Spider-Man movie are getting stronger.
I do have one bit of sad news. Season 5 of The Last Kingdom will be the last season.
Yeah, I was going to bring this up. Thank you. It's somewhat sad news, but I also like to see shows end on their own terms. So I'm good with it. It's a great show, and 5 seasons is a good run.
Yeah, I like shows that get to call off the ending, or call the ending on their terms, right? Unless it's like Game of Thrones, which I haven't seen any Game of Thrones, but I know people were super pissed about that last season. So hopefully they do it well, right?
Yeah, it could have been better.
And hopefully this means that Uhtred of Bebbanburg will finally get to Bebbanburg.
Yeah,
and become Lord of Bebbanburg once more.
I sure hope so.
So, but yeah, Deborah Ann Wolf, I think her name is, from the
Wolf.
Daredevil actress.
It's not wolf. It's just wool.
Oh, is it? She posted something on Twitter that was super cryptic about Daredevil. She posted a poster of the Ben Affleck Daredevil, and it just says Daredevil, like no substance whatsoever. So there's a lot of teasing going on that Daredevil may be, and Charlie Cox's Daredevil may be in Spider-Man. Now the biggest rumor that I saw was that Kristen Ritter, Charlie Cox, is that his name?
Yep.
Yes.
And John Bernthal have all been approached by Marvel. But the one that I was shocked to see, nobody's shocked about Iron Fist, right? But the one I was shocked to not see on that list was the Luke Cage actor.
He's probably got other commitments, man, because he's doing Evil.
He's doing Evil. Yeah, Evil's a great show, man. Dude, that's another horror one that is just fantastic that you should watch, Max. Evil. But I don't care if they recast everybody from Iron Fist. I just want Colleen back.
Colleen's awesome.
Yeah. But I hope that happens, man, because those shows were good. And Kristen Ritter just seems perfect as Jessica Jones, and John Bernthal as Punisher, and Charlie Cox as Daredevil. Like,
yeah, those castings were spot on. It'd be really cool to see them.
Well, and Luke Cage too. I mean, but he's kind of left off that list for some reason.
Well, even if they totally start over, you know, and like the Netflix stuff just kind of is this multiverse thing, I'd be okay with that. Those actors are so good, and you know, we need Wilson Fisk because Vincent D'Onofrio still.
Oh yeah, his name was on that list too of being approached by Marvel.
And Charlie Cox can't get a job because he keeps pretending he's blind all the time.
Vincent D'Onofrio is rumored to appear in Secret Invasion, from what I understand.
That'd be cool, man.
Yeah,
he's
I hope
so
that happens. But yeah, that's. I mean, there's not much news going on, right? I mean, there's a whole bunch of Marvel stuff coming out soon that we are all excited about, but nothing next week, because next week we're going to talk about the new Tom Clancy movie, Without Remorse, starring Michael B. Jordan, that's on Amazon Prime.
And next week, you know what else you're going to hear about? You're going to hear about Max watching the first episode of The Bad Batch. May the 4th is next week, guys.
Oh yeah, that's right. Hey, speaking of things that you should be watching, the Superman show is on HBO MAX, those first 5 episodes.
Oh, that's good to know.
Superman and Lois?
Yeah, Superman and Lois. Thank you.
That's a good flip. That's a good show.
I was like, that's a different one. Yeah, it's a great show. But that comes back, next week?
May 12th.
Sam? May 12th.
Oh, May 12th.
Which I'm excited for, because it's a good show. But yeah, next week we'll be talking about Tom Clancy's Without Remorse, starring Michael B. Jordan on Amazon Prime. And we will get back into our Marvel ways soon enough, once more stuff starts coming out, because that's pretty much what it's been the whole year, huh?
There's plenty of other stuff that we got to cover too.
Yeah, it's nice to take a break.
Right? No, it's not. I like the Marvel stuff.
It's good stuff, but there's
it is good. Yeah, it's good.
Go check us out on Facebook, Twitter, couchcrunchers.com. Always right here on YouTube, Friday nights at 7 p.m. But go check out our past episodes, specifically some episodes you might enjoy. The Parasite episode, anything with Matt and Travis or Jay or Corbin. Go check out those episodes. They are classics. But we are the Couch Crunchers, and thank you for being here. Keep on geeking on.
Don't forget the catchphrase. Bye.